It's January 9th, 2026. I turned 26 4 days ago. I'm late making this video, which is kind of in line with just, how I feel turning 26. Uh, Look at the camera, buddy. I'm not loving turning 26. I actually don't mind it. I don't really feel 26. I don't really ever feel my age. I still feel pretty young, but at the same time, I feel like I'm unk, you know? So, to reflect on 25, I haven't watched the video I made last year back again, but I know I didn't do everything I said I was going to do in that video. In the year 2025, I think I'm going to get it this year. I do know that when I turned 25, I was talking about, balancing relationships and career, I think. And I think the first 6 months of 25, I did the career thing pretty well. Like I was focused on music stuff. And I did take a trip and I did shoot a bunch of bedroom rapper videos all across the country. I did a road trip with my friend and I did make two more mixtapes that aren't done. I just didn't finish a lot last year. I started off strong. The first 6 months of the year was strong. The second half of the year, I fell off. And frankly, I don't like to make excuses. I like to hold myself accountable. But fucking with girls, man, fucking with girls, the second half of 2025 derailed me a little bit. And I don't know. I think as I get older, I don't know what it is, this weird pressure. Maybe it is external or maybe it's internal. I can't tell which it is, but it's like a pressure to be certain places at certain points in my life. I guess I do kind of feel old at 26. But I got to get over that because I'm not going to get any younger, you know? So, that being said, I started going to therapy last year. I did that for like 5 months. I reflected, talked about values a lot, you know? What do you value? What do you value? And at first, I didn't think I valued anything being posed that question. My therapist then pointed out things that she thought I did value, and I agreed with her. I can't recall what they are off the top of my head, but I think since 2024, there's been a lot of points in my life where I felt pretty directionless in the last 2 years, because things maybe didn't go according to plan or pan out the way I wanted them to. But the thing is like, if you're not going to kill yourself, then you better figure it out. Not to be all like, that's not depressing, morbid, not to be morbid, but you might as well start figuring things out. So it's like, I do have goals for myself. And I will say a couple of things that I did do in 25 while I was 25 that I'm happy about was I did travel. Like I said, I took a trip around the U.S. in 11 days. I drove from Atlanta to D.C. to New York to Chicago to Colorado to Utah to Las Vegas to California. I got to see a couple national parks, at least three, you know. And then I took another trip to New York. I met a girl from another country out there. That was cool. And I shot a bunch of videos that, again, I didn't finish editing and post, but it's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 months. I'm just need to get my mojo back. And then I did open mics last year for the first time. I had never really performed, but I started doing open mics like a couple a week for maybe like 2 months, September, October. I got sick at the end of October for like a good 2 or 3 weeks. But I'm glad I did open mics. I still am nervous to perform. I think that's something I'm going to try to be more consistent about this year. I just want to make more songs that I actually want to perform. And I did start taking piano lessons in September, and I started learning how to finger drum in September. I wasn't as consistent as I would have liked to be in the last 2 months of the year, November, December, but I did make progress, and I just started. I think starting is the hardest part. So, 26, how do I feel? I feel like, man, there's always room to grow. But honestly, I was depressed last week. Yeah, because today's Friday. So the week before my birthday, I was just mad depressed. Feeling a little beaten. I'm not going to hold y'all because it's the internet. Who cares? But I got like 5 bands of debt right now, which pisses me off because I started 25 with 10 bands in my bank account and no debt. And then I just didn't work that much last year, which the first half of the year was on me. I cut my own hours, and then the second half I didn't get the hours that I wanted. So shot myself in the foot a little bit. This is gonna be the last time I do that. One thing I've learned is like you gotta work as much as you can work until you're like rich or dead. You know, it just is what it is. You don't want to fall behind. It sucks being behind. I hate having debt. You know, it just looms over me. So that being said, I'm still only working 30 hours a week right now, but that's enough that I can pay off my debt in like 3 months. Yeah, it'd take me about 3 months to pay that shit off. In the meantime, though, I am gonna just focus on. I gotta knock out these 2 mixtapes. I got a music video shot for each one: Flow Kage Volume 2, Flow Kage Volume 3. After that, I don't care about dropping any more music this year. I just want to excel at the piano, learn music theory, get better at improving, learning how to just improv melodies more, figure out how chord progressions feel, what chord progressions feel like what for what mood and what key, etc., and finger drumming, you know, so that when I'm producing, I can produce from scratch more and not have to sample. Um, Something else that was cool last year, and I'm gonna make a video on it. I don't know if I'll post it anywhere, but I just want to document it. It's like I listened to at least 400 albums last year. Really just crate digging for real, and just exposing myself to different genres and types of music. But I feel like that 400 albums only scratched the surface, you know? So I don't think I'll listen to that much music this year. I think I'd rather put that time into other things, my crafts more. But that was something cool that I did at 25, you know? Something else I did during 25. This is more of a damn what did I do when I was 25 versus how I feel at 26. But what I did at 25 greatly is impacting how I feel at 26. At the beginning of November, I stopped vaping and I stopped smoking weed, you know, and that's cool. I don't drink at all, really. So now I'm just raw dogging life. And I'm not gonna lie, honestly, first 2 months it sucked. I feel like this third month I haven't been, it's been just days going by without me thinking about a vape, which is pretty cool. Because I wanna say like the last week of December, that shit was like, I was itching. But I think that's just because I was back home. So 2026, how do I feel? I'm a little frustrated, frankly, with where I'm at in life. But I think this week I didn't gain the perspective because I've had the perspective before, but I've regained, I don't know, reminded myself of to be grateful and to have gratitude for all the things I do have. My living situation is pretty solid, you know. I do think I want to move like actually in the city or downtown or something of Atlanta. And because I live in Gwinnett right now. So I'd like to get more in the city. I never really lived in the city since I moved here, and we're almost on year 7. Oh my God. Outside of moving, though, it's like I want to conquer the piano and the finger drumming. I know that's not going to happen in 12 months, but I can get way more comfortable with it and get better at improving and just boost my production skills a shit ton. Other than that, the only other thing I really want to do is get fly with videos. I think in lieu of dropping music and projects and whatnot, I probably make like a timeline for myself to be dropping like a video a week just on a random Instagram account. So I can get better really at just the basics, like color grading is the big thing for me, you know, lighting, color grading, and framing shots and filming myself. You know, I just want to film myself a lot. Hand in hand with that, I want to shoot more photography and potentially. The thing is, like, I think about money. Even when I'm not thinking about money, I'm thinking about money. I think that's just like the American in me, maybe. And our country is really not in a great place right now. I don't think it is. I think most people would say it's not, you know, unless you like in the 1%. And unfortunately, this is going on a tangent now, but it's just like our country so pushes individualism so much that my mentality is like, well, shit, man, I just gotta get ahead because if I don't get ahead, I'm just gonna fall further behind, and I'll be thinking about myself, you know. But in my efforts to build community throughout my adult life, like I've lost a lot of faith in people and friendship. That's something that I'm gonna try to rework those beliefs this year. I think I gotta go to different environments to seek people out. So I think I'm gonna try out like a run club. When I have the extra bread, I'll start doing like martial arts classes and trying to get into other communities. I think unfortunately the problem with the music communities is that everybody is very much there's a lot of egos. Everybody's worried about themselves. Everybody's like, what can you do for me? You know? And I wouldn't say I'm like a what can you do for me type individual, but I'm also not out here being like, what can I do for you all the time? You know? And to take this back to me in my personal life, it's like the money I make is cool, but I do want to make more money, you know? And even if I'm not making more money by the end of this year, I want to have acquired the skills. I want to be set up in a position that I know I can make more money next year. And I think the thing is, I don't want to go back to school. Like, I really, really, really don't want to because I know there's nothing in school that I really want to do for the rest of my life. My whole thing that I can't really settle with is I don't want to do something for the rest of my life, career wise, that I wouldn't be doing for free. And the only things that I would be doing for free are like art related, shooting videos, making music. So that being said, I just gotta fucking hustle harder. Nah, nah, nah. And see, that's the issue with this mindset of like hustle culture. Now I'm just jumping around ADHD, but I don't actually have ADHD. My therapist said she don't think I have ADHD. I could be undiagnosed. Anyways, I'm about to wrap this up. How do I feel turning 26? A week ago, I felt defeated. This week, I feel like still a little defeated, frankly, but it's like, fuck it, we here. So I'm gonna start laying out some goals. I am glad that I've cut the substances out of my life. I think I'm gonna hold strong all year. I'm not gonna lie, I told myself in a year, and like if my if I don't feel any better, mentally at least, emotionally, something, you know, I probably would smoke weed again. I love smoking weed, I'm not gonna lie. I just want to give myself a chance to breathe. I probably smoked almost every day. There's been like maybe like a couple months out of each year I didn't smoke. One year I went 6 months without smoking. Then another year I might have gone like 2 months. Another year I might have gone 1 month. The other like 3 or 4 years I probably smoked almost every day. So I want to give myself a chance to just be sober, and interact with the world differently. But I'm not defeated. I am only 26, even though I feel like, I'm really young. It's a lot to do. I can keep complaining about, you know, what I did the last 6 years and how it's gotten me where I'm at right now, or I can figure out what am I going to do for the next 4 years so that when I'm 30, I'm in a place that I want to be in. So I think that's what we talked a lot about in therapy was like, what do you want? What do you want? Values, values, values. What do you want? And what are you going to do to get there? You know, I didn't really look at the camera much this whole time, but fuck it. You're supposed to be listening to me talk, not watching my face. So, yeah, that was my rambling for my 26th birthday. I don't imagine myself blowing up in the next year, to be honest. Like I said, I'm gonna put out 2 more mixtapes with videos I've already shot that I haven't spent the time learning DaVinci Resolve that I need to so that the videos can come out how I want. That'll get done when it gets done. I'm gonna drop Flow Kage Volume 2. I'm gonna drop Flow Kage Volume 3. I'm gonna drop those bedroom rapper videos. And then I'm gonna spend the rest of the year just, like I said, doing video work and producing. Not even really producing, just getting better at the piano and finger drumming so that those can enhance my production. And then 2027, I think I'll hit the ground running, dropping music again. But hopefully, I want to get to a point where it's like, if I could just clear, like, I make about, well, before taxes, 4 bands a month. After taxes, that's only 3,200. If I could get that number from 32 to like 5 bands a month, I'd be straight. But, another goal that I think I need to have in mind is building a community. I don't like the word fan base, but building a community of people, that supports me so much that they'd be willing to just drop $10 on me once a year. If I got 5,000 people that I mean, let's go for any creative. If you think about it from like a direct to consumer way instead of like a streaming or using other platforms to promote yourself, if you could get 5,000 people to go to your own website and drop $10 on you, you know, that's 50 grand. That's what a lot of people, that's more than I think the average American makes. 5,000 people is a lot of people to drop $10 on you, but how good is what you're making? You know, how valuable do you think it is? And can, I guess it's about convincing other people. I don't like that, though. I don't like that way of thinking. I'm not convincing anybody of anything. I'm just doing me, you know, but I would like what I make to be dope enough that people want to drop $10 on it once a year to support me to make a living. Yeah. And I think then you go for 10,000 people. Now you're clearing six figures off of one project a year. Getting people to spend $10 might be harder than I think it is. I don't know. Is it? Anyways, thanks for listening to my rambling. I'm not really making this for anybody to watch. I'm making this on YouTube so that I can just go back and watch this again next year. I think I'm going to make one every year until I'm 30. And then I'm going to look back from 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and just look at how things progressed. Peace and blessings.